The 1970s were not interested in comfort. This was a decade where cinema stared straight into the mirror and did not blink.
It's a boy!
Studios gambled, directors pushed, stories ended without reassurance. Some films slipped through the cracks not because they failed but because they refused to behave. These are the overlooked movies from the 70s that still hit hard because they never stopped telling the truth. Number 7. Wake in Fright, 1971. Wake in Fright begins like a simple travel detour and slowly mutates into a psychological nightmare.
End of the bloody world!
You're mad, you bastard.
A schoolteacher stranded in the Australian outback expects a brief inconvenience. What he encounters instead is a community fueled by alcohol, ritualized cruelty, and a suffocating code of masculinity. There is no villain here in the traditional sense. The danger comes from belonging too closely and from refusing to belong at all. The film's power lies in its relentless escalation. Each drink dulls resistance. Each social interaction tightens the trap.
If I were ever to marry, Jeanette's the sort of girl I'd like to marry.
The landscape itself feels hostile not because it is exotic, but because it is indifferent. Director Ted Kotcheff uses wide, empty spaces to strip the character of identity. Civilization feels distant and theoretical. What remains is impulse and endurance. What makes Wake in Fright still hit hard is its refusal to moralize. The film does not explain or excuse the behavior it depicts. It simply observes it with clinical patience. The infamous hunting sequence is not staged for shock alone. It is a ritual of dominance and desensitization. Watching it today feels less like revisiting the past and more like confronting patterns that never disappeared. Number 6. Scarecrow, 1973. Scarecrow is a road movie without romance and a buddy film without safety. Two men drift across America chasing vague hopes of reinvention. One dreams of business success. The other wants reconciliation. Neither understands how fragile they are. What unfolds is not a journey toward freedom, but a slow exposure of emotional limits.
It's a boy!
Al Pacino and Gene Hackman give performances that feel lived in rather than performed. Their characters bond through humor routines and shared exhaustion. There is warmth here, but it is constantly under threat. The world they move through is indifferent and often hostile. Every job is temporary. Every kindness has a shelf life. The film's emotional weight lands hardest when the illusion of resilience collapses. There is no dramatic speech announcing the breaking point.
All right, you know I'm the toughest, right? Huh?
It arrives quietly and without mercy. That restraint is what gives Scarecrow its lasting power. It understands how people actually fall apart, not in explosions but in silence. At the time of release, the film won awards but struggled to connect with mainstream audiences. It lacked momentum in the conventional sense. There is no triumphant arc. Number 5. The Friends of Eddie Coyle, 1973. This film dismantles the mythology of the American crime movie piece by piece. Eddie Coyle is not a mastermind or a rebel. He is tired, he is scared, he is disposable.
Okay, let's go.
Set in the underbelly of Boston criminal networks, the film treats crime as labor rather than spectacle. Robert Mitchum plays Eddie with devastating restraint. There is no charm to hide behind. Conversations happen in parked cars, diners, and anonymous rooms. Everyone is negotiating survival. Loyalty is a currency that depreciates quickly. Violence arrives suddenly and without drama. What separates this film from other crime stories is its attention to process. Guns are sourced, deals are arranged, informants rationalize betrayal. There is no code of honor, only a series of transactions. The system grinds forward regardless of individual morality.
Where the fuck you taking me?
Take a left.
When the consequences arrive, they feel inevitable rather than shocking. The film does not frame Eddie as tragic or heroic. He is simply caught in a machine that no longer needs him. That perspective was unsettling in the 70s and remains so today. The Friends of Eddie Coyle hits hard because it strips crime of fantasy. Number 4. The Offense, 1973. The Offense is not a crime film in any comfortable sense. It is an interrogation not just of a suspect, but of authority itself.
If only you'd enjoyed it. Looked up at me.
Sean Connery plays a veteran detective whose sense of moral certainty has rotted under years of exposure to violence. When he arrests a suspected child abuser, the case does not move toward justice. It collapses inward. The film unfolds largely inside a police station interrogation room, yet it never feels confined. The real pressure comes from memory. Flashbacks bleed into the present, blurring what is proven and what is believed. Connery's performance is raw and stripped of movie star protection. This is not James Bond weaponized confidence. This is exhaustion turned dangerous. What makes the offense still hit hard is its refusal to offer a clear villain. The suspect may be guilty, he may not. The film is less interested in resolution than in exposure. It asks what happens when someone who believes in order loses control. When righteous anger becomes indistinguishable from brutality. Director Sidney Lumet frames authority as something fragile. The uniform does not grant immunity from corruption. Number 3. The Last Detail, 1973. The Last Detail disguises its devastation behind profanity humor and casual cruelty. Two Navy lifers are assigned to escort a young sailor to military prison for a minor offense. What begins as a routine transfer becomes a brief collision between authority and empathy. Jack Nicholson and Otis Young play men who understand the system too well to believe in it. They are not rebels. They enforce rules they quietly despise.
You mean to tell me they gave you 8 years and a DD for $40 and you didn't even get it?
Along the journey, they attempt to give the young prisoner a taste of freedom. Food, sex, laughter, and dignity are offered in fragments. The film never pretends these gestures are enough. Every moment of kindness is undercut by inevitability. The destination never changes. That tension is what gives the film its power. It captures the cruelty of systems that allow compassion only as decoration. Nicholson's performance is explosive, yet deeply sad. His anger is not righteous. It is helpless. He knows exactly how small his rebellion is.
This ain't no farewell party, and he ain't retiring. Understand?
That awareness gives the film its bite. There is no illusion that good intentions will rewrite outcomes. Number 2. Straight Time, 1978. Straight Time is one of the most honest films ever made about life after prison.
Huh? You know that you're wrong, right?
Dustin Hoffman plays a career criminal released back into a world that pretends rehabilitation is possible while ensuring failure at every step. There is no romanticism here. Jobs are humiliating. Parole is invasive. Surveillance is constant. The film captures the quiet pressure of being watched and judged without relief. Hoffman's performance is restrained and precise. His character is intelligent, capable, and doomed. What makes Straight Time hit hard is its systemic clarity. The film does not frame crime as temptation. It frames it as gravity. The closer the character gets to stability, the more aggressively the system intervenes. Compliance becomes another trap. The supporting characters reinforce this reality. Parole officers are not monsters. They are functionaries. Friends offer loyalty with limits. Every relationship exists inside constraint. The violence when it comes is not thrilling. It feels like resignation. The final acts do not seek redemption. They acknowledge reality. Straight Time was overlooked because it denied fantasy. It offered no comeback story. Number 1. TheParallax View, 1974. TheParallax View is a film that does not raise its voice. It does not chase thrills. It simply watches as truth dissolves. What begins as an investigation into a political assassination slowly transforms into something far more disturbing. Not a mystery to be solved, but a system to be entered. Warren Beatty plays a journalist following loose threads that never quite connect. Witnesses disappear. Institutions close ranks. Information contradicts itself. The deeper he goes, the less solid reality becomes. The film refuses to clarify what is happening because that uncertainty is the point. Director Alan J. Pakula shoots the story with distance and restraint. Large modernist spaces dwarf individuals. Architecture becomes an instrument of power. People move through offices, arenas, and corridors as if already absorbed by the machine. There is no safe ground where truth can stand untouched. The most unsettling sequence is the psychological conditioning montage. It is not violent. It is not loud. It is terrifying because it feels plausible. Images flash. Ideas blur. Identity loosens. Watching it today feels uncomfortably familiar in a world shaped by media saturation and algorithmic influence. What makes the Parallax View still hit hard is its ending. There is no victory, no exposure, no catharsis. The system does not collapse when confronted. It absorbs resistance and moves on. The truth does not save anyone. The Parallax View endures because it understands power as something invisible and patient. It does not need to announce itself. It only needs time. The 1970s did not promise comfort. These films were not forgotten because they failed. They were overlooked because they refused to reassure. They showed systems that grind people down, truths that never surface, and endings that do not heal. They still hit hard because the world they warned us about never went away. It just learned to smile.